Hey YouTube, this is the second set of the Crown Brush review that I'm doing, the Crown Brush Series review, and these are the brushes I'll be reviewing today. They are the various sizes of the oval synthetic face brushes. Now, before I get started, I just really want to suggest that you check out at least the start of the very first video in this series. I'll link to it on the sidebar, because that covers a lot of general things about the brushes, about the company. So as you watch me talk about them, you have a much better perspective on them as I review them. Of course, that's not necessary, but I really suggest you do that. Take a few minutes, and I think it's only 3 minutes long. So otherwise, I'm ready to get started. I hope you are too. These are the 3 medium-sized brushes, 2 from the Studio Series and 1 from the Italian Badger. Now, these 2 are quite similar. As you can see, the bristle length are the same, and so are the width. They're identical. They both have very soft bristles, are quite thin, and not very stiff. Now, as you can see, the Italian Badger is slightly thicker, so consequently, it's slightly stiffer, but they're both they're both pretty much the same. The difference is very small. Now, they're both best for the same purpose, to apply creams and thin liquids. It doesn't really matter what the product is, a foundation, a concealer, a blush, or eyeshadow. If the consistency is thin enough and light enough, both of these will do an excellent job of applying and blending them. Now, I'll show you real quick what the sizes are like compared to, now this one is compared to the quarter. Here we go. And in thinness, I don't know how much of an idea that will give you. And this is compared to the pound for my English viewers. I'm sorry, I don't have a euro for anyone from Europe, so this will have to do. And this is what the handles look like. Anyway, so unfortunately, these 2 will not handle anything particularly thick. For that, you will need brush number 3. Now, take a look. The bristles on this one are slightly longer, and it's not quite as thick, but take a look in profile. Look how thick this baby is. This will, without a doubt, handle anything, pretty much any kind of, like any consistency of product that you want to put on your face. I think it'll probably, I got it even to work with the Ben Nye concealer, and that one's really thick and really dry. So this puppy is, because it's so thick and so stiff, this will handle just about anything. Now, you might think that you'll just get this and you'll use it as an all-purpose brush, but I do not recommend this, and here's why. While the thick stuff will it'll stand up pretty well to the thick stuff, it will absorb anything really thin into the bristles, therefore wasting product and making the cleanup like a pain and a half. Truthfully, this will probably not work very well for everything. It'll handle everything, but if you want to apply thinner stuff, I really recommend investing in something thinner, so you will not have a lot of product wastage. This is definitely, the difficulty of cleanup is a problem with this. I mean, it's a natural consequence of a really thick brush. It's very hard to do superficial cleans like with a brush cleanser when you do between uses. And unfortunately, after like 2, maximum 3 uses, you will need to do a deep clean because it'll become sort of stiff and unusable. So that's the downside. It's very nice for the use. It's sort of it's very nice to use, but very sort of kind of difficult to maintain. Now, all of these are excellently made. I can't really, which one of these 2 is the best, I can't really say. They're quite similar. I believe this one is cheaper than this one, and I don't think the difference between them is big enough that you'd need to spend extra money on this. I mean, you think, you could decide for yourself, but I'd get the cheaper one. And this one is unique for the Studio Series. There's no similar one in any other series. So if you want to apply a thick foundation, something like Studio Sculpt, for example, or the Rimmel that I reviewed, get this one. I mean, if you would want to use this size brush. I would definitely recommend getting something thick like this. Now, these three are what you might call the big brothers of the last set that I did. This one is from the Luna series, this one is from the Italian Badger, and this one is from the Studio series. Now, these two are quite similar, as you can see. The bristle length is the same, so it's the width, and the thickness is quite similar as well. Now, this brush, however, I don't think is particularly good. I've had some shedding difficulties with this. Specifically, after I washed it, I tried applying the mineralized satin finish, which is a fairly thin liquid, onto the face, and whenever I basically tried to blend, it would leave the entire front surface of the brush would come off on my face. It's like there's like footprints on my face from this brush. I thought it maybe was like because it's brand new and, you know, brand new brushes have shedding problems. So I washed it again and tried it again, and the same thing happened. And I think I repeated it like 4 or 5 more times, and even though the shedding diminished somewhat, it still shed way too much. Like, I seriously started to worry if there was going to be any brush left if I continued going on. So I don't know. I mean, this is so ridiculous, such a ridiculously bad you know, problem that I'm tempted to think that this is like a one-time deal, you know. But on the other hand, I can't use this brush. I'm not very happy with it. On the other hand, this one is excellent. I mean, there was no shedding even before I washed it. After I washed it, it feels great on the face. This one's slightly softer, but then again, you know, it doesn't have as many hairs anymore. So this one is very well put together. As you can see, the ferrule sits tightly. The handle is very nice. You know, it's fairly stiff. I'm very happy with this for basically any kind of liquid or cream application. This will handle just about anything, I think, even like concealer thick. So you know, it covers large areas of the face. As you can, sorry, dropped the coin. As you can see, the this is what it looks like compared to the quarter. It's a fair bit bigger than the medium-sized ones I reviewed before, and this is what it looks like with the pound. It's a significantly larger brush. Now, I think this is, I highly recommend this brush. However, I actually use this one more, the Studio Series one. I'll show you why. Take a look in comparison. This one is once again a little thinner in width and much, much thicker. And therefore, you know, it's stiffer. Now, I am not particularly experienced with usage of this type of brush for application, foundation application. Now, because that's what I use it for mainly. So even a little bit of extra stiffness translates to a lot more control for me. And control in these initial stages is very important. I want to get a really nice feeling for where the product goes and how it blends and so on. Now, until I get really, you know, very skilled, or even slightly, okay, not very skilled, but slightly more skilled, I feel more comfortable with this brush. Now, like its little brother, as you can see, they're fairly similar thickness, but this one's much smaller. Like its little brother, it does have the problem of overabsorption of product and difficulty in cleaning. And I mean, it really is fairly difficult to clean, and that's a problem. So my plan is, personally, once I get a little more comfortable with application, I will switch to using this brush. It is not as stiff, but once you get comfortable, that's not as important. I mean, it's still stiff enough to stand up to the thickest liquids, and that's good enough. And it doesn't have the same absorption and cleaning problems. This won't waste as much product. As far as quality of these brushes go, I heartily recommend them both. Neither of them shed, which in case of this one, because it's so thick, is actually quite amazing, but neither of them shed. They're all very well put together. The handles feel solid. This is good quality brushes. Which one you prefer, I think, depends on how skillful you are with using these. If you're just getting started and aren't really sure of yourself, this might be a better choice for you because it does simplify the learning process somewhat. I just don't think this will be a really great, you'll really like this for long-term use. Now, if you happen to be more proficient with using brushes of this shape and size, you might just want to skip the big one and go straight, the thick one, and go straight for this one. Now, quality-wise, as I said, I think they're both excellent. But for more experienced users, I believe this is a better choice.